Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most important inventions in all of human history. We're talking about the printing press and how it completely changed the world and basically laid the foundation for, well, everything we know today. So to really get why this was such a huge deal, I want you to try something. Just for a second, imagine a world where every single book, every document you've ever read had to be copied by hand. I mean, every single letter. Knowledge could only move as fast as a scribe could write. And this really puts it into perspective, right? You're talking months, maybe even a year for just one book. That made books crazy expensive, like luxury items for the super rich. And let's not forget, every time a new copy was made, there was a chance for a new mistake to creep in. So knowledge wasn't just slow, it was expensive, exclusive, and kind of unreliable. Okay, so here's where the story gets really interesting. The idea of printing with movable type, reusable letters, it didn't just pop up out of the blue in Europe. Nope. It was actually an idea that had been bubbling away for centuries, and it traveled a long, long way. Just look at this journey. We start in China back in the 11th century. Then the idea gets a major upgrade in Korea a couple hundred years later, and then it finally lands in Germany, where Gutenberg turns it into the mass production system that changed everything. It's an incredible story of technological evolution. So, what Bi Sheng did in China was the first massive leap. I mean, think about it. Before him, you had to carve an entire page onto one block of wood. One mistake and you're starting over. But he came up with reusable clay characters. You could set a page, print it, and then just take it apart and build a whole new page. That's a game changer. And then in Korea, they took that brilliant idea and made it even better. They started using metal. Why? Well, it was way more durable, and the print was so much sharper, so much clearer. And get this, the result was a book called the Jikji, and it's the oldest surviving book printed this way. We're talking 1377. That's almost 80 years before Gutenberg's famous Bible. So yeah, the groundwork was definitely laid in Asia. All right, so that brings up a really important question, right? If the basic idea of movable type was already out there, what was it about what Johannes Gutenberg did that made it, well, a revolution? The key wasn't one single thing. It was that he created a system. His genius was putting all the pieces together into one efficient mass production machine. Let's break down the 4 key parts that made it all work. First up, the actual letters. Gutenberg was a metalsmith, so he knew his stuff. He came up with this perfect mix of lead, tin, and antimony. It melted at a low temperature, which was great, but the really clever part? It expanded just a tiny bit as it cooled. That might sound small, but it meant the metal filled every nook and cranny of the mold, creating these perfectly sharp, super durable pieces of type. Okay, so you have the perfect material. Now how do you make thousands of identical letters? And do it fast? That was the next problem to solve. His answer was this brilliant little hand mold. It let a worker just crank out perfectly uniform characters one after another. This was the secret to scaling up, to going from one letter to enough for a whole book. Third, you need the actual press. And here's another stroke of genius. He didn't invent something from scratch. He looked around and saw the screw presses that people were using to make wine. He realized he could adapt that same technology to apply a huge amount of even pressure. That's what you need to get a clean, crisp print every single time. And last but not least, the ink. The old water-based inks just wouldn't work. They'd literally just roll right off his new metal letters. So he had to invent a whole new kind of ink. He came up with this thick, oil-based formula that was sticky enough to cling to the metal type, giving him that bold, black text we know today. So you put it all together, the alloy, the mold, the press, the ink. And what do you get? You get the Gutenberg Bible. This wasn't just another book. It was the proof that his system worked. He made something like 200 of these beautiful, identical copies in the time it would have taken a single scribe to do just one. The game had officially changed. And with that system now out in the world, boom, the information floodgates just burst wide open. Suddenly, you could mass produce ideas. That fundamental problem, that knowledge was rare and hard to get, was about to be solved, and Europe would never, ever be the same. You want to see how fast things changed? Look no further than Martin Luther. He writes up his 95 Theses, right? He's thinking he'll start a little debate among scholars. But the printers, they saw a bestseller. They grabbed his text, started printing it like crazy, and suddenly what was supposed to be a quiet academic chat becomes a full-blown revolution that swept across Europe in like a month. It was viral, 16th century style. And Luther himself? He totally got it. He realized he'd stumbled upon this incredibly powerful tool. He even called the press a gift from God, because he knew it was the engine that was letting him talk directly to the people, completely bypassing the old gatekeepers of information. And this is maybe the most important part, the economics of it all. It wasn't just that there were more books. They became insanely cheap. We're talking a price drop of over 90%. Think about that. All of a sudden, books weren't just for popes and kings anymore. A regular person, a merchant, could actually afford to own knowledge. And once you make information affordable and accessible, it sets off this incredible chain reaction. Scientists can finally share their findings and build on each other's work. Hello, Scientific Revolution. Artists and thinkers get their hands on ancient texts, which fuels the Renaissance. More books means more people learn to read, so literacy goes through the roof. It even helps create modern countries by standardizing languages. It touched everything. So, fast forward to today. You might think this is all ancient history, but the echoes of what happened in that little workshop in Germany are absolutely everywhere. I mean, just think about it for a second. The idea of mass communication, public schools where everyone has the same textbook, scientists sharing their research globally, the DNA of all of that goes straight back to Gutenberg. The press built the very foundation for our modern information society. And that leaves us with a pretty big question for our own time, doesn't it? The printing revolution totally remade the world by making information abundance. Today, with the internet, we're living through our own version of that. So you have to wonder, as we build this new information age, what kind of world are we creating?